Hey guys, this is Matt with Doug Andrus Distributing. Today we're going to be talking about our ELDs. We have a QualComm. We have two different types. The MCP200, which is our older version, which has a slide-out keyboard. And then we have this version, which most of our trucks have, which is the IVG. So we're going to go ahead and go through the IVG since that's what most of you guys have. And I'll tell you if there's things that are a little bit different with MCP200, we'll differentiate that as we go through the video. So the first thing I want to kind of walk you through on how to use this. So as a new driver, you get in the truck and the first thing you want to do is log into this. So you're going to go here to this driver login. It's just a touch screen. You just click on it. It brings up this screen. So it asks you for your driver ID and your password. So as soon as you click on one of these fields, a little keyboard pops up, and that's where you can go ahead and put in your information. One other thing, a handy tip is on things like this these two arrows right here on this button is the tab button, and then this bottom right button is to collapse the keyboard, and then you can hit OK, and then it'll ask you what status you want to be in. For us today, since we're not driving, I'm going to put myself off duty. Hit OK. Sometimes the touch screen is a little finicky. You got to give it a couple tries. This says there's some unassigned drive time on this vehicle. Do I want to take credit for it? I don't. Okay, so now I'm logged in. Now that I'm logged in, you'll see that before, all of these were grayed out. You didn't have the option to go look at these. Now that you're logged in as a driver, you can get into these. So I'm going to go over real quick what each of these is. There's actually a number of options of things you can look at. Most of the stuff that you're going to be looking at and dealing with on a day-to-day basis is going to be on this first page, but there are multiple pages where you can look at stuff. A web browser, performance monitoring, driver training. Instead of including a owner's manual, it's all on this computer, so you can click in there and find answers to different questions you might have, and then just some settings, system, and diagnostics. So again, we won't spend a lot of time on that. We're going to be mostly on this first page, which is where most of you guys will be spending most of your time. So the first one here, top left, is this messaging function. So this is where your dispatcher can send you messages, things like your fuel stops, any information regarding the load you're on, or if there's any updates, any general information, things like that. You'll get that here. It's kind of like your inbox for your email. And you'll see these three tabs across the top. The next one is Outbox. This shows you messages that you have sent. And then the last one is Compose. This is where you'll go in, and if you want to send a message to somebody, you'll come through here and you'll select a preformed message. We call these macros. So if somebody says, send me a macro 12, then you know, okay, I'm sending this message right here. Some of the common ones are number 11, overshort and damaged. So if you have a pallet that got damaged in transit and they reject it, you would send a message in on that macro 11 saying, hey, I've got one pallet of product that got rejected because it was damaged. That's a common one. Accident reports, you could ask for a route update, payroll inquiry, just a bunch of different ones. One of the big ones that a lot of guys use is this. If you go all the way down to the bottom, this macro 39, that is how you send in a request to the shop to get repairs done on your truck. That should only ever be sent if you're in the yard and your truck is parked right out in front of the shop. And that's just because when that message gets sent, our service manager assigns that to a mechanic, and it could happen really quick. So you want your truck to be out front, so when they come to look for it, it's right there and they can get the work done that you requested. So that's messaging, just a brief overview there. You also have your hours of service, which is another one you're going to be in a lot. You have some different tabs here. Status shows you what your status is, how much time you have left, what you've done on your day so far. You can go here for a summary of what you have left. You can see it in a graph. So I guess something to mention is that, you can select on duty, off duty, and you can manually select driving, but you don't have to manually select driving as long as you put yourself log in as a driver. If you start driving, once you get above 5 miles an hour, it will automatically kick you over into driving mode. So that you can either put yourself in driving mode or you can just drive faster than 5 miles an hour and it will put you in driving mode by itself. One other thing you can do here on the IVG is a vehicle inspection report. On the MCP200, you cannot do it from the QualComm. You have to do a paper copy. But on the IVG, you can go ahead and click on here, say you want a new vehicle inspection, and then go through and certify that you've done the walk around and that everything looks good. If for some reason something doesn't look good or you have some concerns, you can always call outside service and they can walk you through what to do. You also have here navigation, which is it's a navigation tool that you can use to get from point to point. Pretty user-friendly. You just type in the address. If your dispatcher does it right in your workflow, there's a navigation option once you get into your load information, and it should navigate you right to the address that it has for the location that they want you to go to. And we'll look at that in just a second. Workflow. You also have critical event reporting. This is just something, it just kind of notifies you. It's something if you have to hit the brakes real hard or swerve or something like that, it'll log a critical event, and it's just kind of for your information. Media manager, this is where we sometimes send out things like videos, audio clips, things like that to you guys, and this is where you can go to actually see that media. So now we're going to spend a little bit of time here in workflow. So in workflow, this is where you get your information. So you'll see as soon as I pick that up, so you see a load number, who it's assigned to, the driver, where you're going to pick it up, and where it's going to be delivered. This is all under the trip plan here. So the first thing it's going to want you to do is either accept or reject the load. So this is actually a load, so I'm not going to go any farther than this. So I'll just kind of talk you through what would happen. So once you hit accept, it'll ask you, are you sure that you have enough hours and that you can do it in the time allotted? And you say yes. And then it will give you the information where you can go in and you have this info button, and it'll tell you what it is that you're picking up. If it's a trailer you're picking up, it'll tell you the trailer number. It should tell you a temperature setting. If it doesn't say on here, you'll get it on your bill of lading when you actually pick it up, and then it'll show how many miles and that kind of stuff. So that's all in the info. You can also go here to details. So in details, you'll get a little more information, some of the similar stuff. It'll tell you what you've got, any specific instructions. And you'll see right here in the middle, it says navigation. If you hit navigation, the way it's supposed to work, and the way it usually works, is you click on navigation, and what it'll do is it will navigate you from where you are right now to the first pickup on your load information, and then you can navigate from there to your delivery. So kind of a handy thing. Like I said, it works most of the time, but there are times where it'll say it can't find the address, and in that case you just go to navigation and then you can manually put in the address, and then it will be able to navigate you there. Now, on occasion, QualComms will stop working. You'll have some kind of problem. On the IVG, you've got, I believe on the right hand side, you've got a couple of rubber covers that cover some things here, and it's actually, I can never remember, it's actually on this left hand side. You see this big long rubber strip here. If you peel that back, you've got a connection, and then you also have a button right there. This button is to reset the screen. So if you press and hold that button, it will turn off the screen and then turn it back on. That's used if, like, you notice that it stops responding. That's the first thing to try to see if it will, just resetting the screen, if that will allow you to get your unit functioning. If you try that and it still doesn't work, call outside service. They can do what's called a reset. So they send a reset signal to this, and it will shut it all the way down and then power it all the way back up. And then 90% of the time that takes care of any issues that you might have. So that's just a real brief overview of the QualComm, kind of the basic functionality of it. It's not too complicated, but it's still, you got to know where to go and what you're looking for to get the information you want. So hopefully this was helpful. Thanks.